And today we're going to be comparing 5 different types of smokers, ranging from $100 to $10,000. We're going to be looking at the pros, cons, and usages of each one. So starting with the cheapest, this is actually the first smoker I ever got and really brought out my love for smoking. This is a vertical charcoal smoker. As you can see, not a ton of space here, multiple racks. You can tell that my daughters are now using this as chalk storage because I actually don't use it anymore. Also has a water pan compartment here. And then underneath is where you are putting your charcoal and then wood chips. I would actually soak wood chips so that they wouldn't burn up too quick and they would smolder. They would go right there. I would highly recommend a smoker like this, whether it's this one or Dynaglow, a vertical smoker like this for beginners who don't really know if they want to get into smoking, if they like the idea of it, if they like tending to a smoker, if they even like the flavor of smoked meats and smoked vegetables and things like that. It's cheap enough where you can experiment with it and see if smoking is a passion for you. All right, pros and cons for the vertical charcoal. I would say a pro, again, is that it's cheap enough where if you wanna buy it as a gift for someone or buy it for yourself and you're not really sure if you wanna get into smoking, this is just a great starter tool. Cons, I would say you're really not going to get great product off of this. The usage is fairly simple. It's a little harder to maintain temperatures and things like that, but with charcoal, especially with briquettes, you can kind of make sure you get an even temperature. You can't fit much in there, and again, you're not gonna get great product off of a smoker like this. Next, we are looking at the Weber Smoky Mountain. Dun, dun, dun. I know it doesn't look like much, but do not, I repeat, do not sleep on this smoker. I have nothing but good things to say about this. These come in a 14-inch, an 18, and a 22. This is the 18. I actually got this used off of Facebook Marketplace for I think around $300, maybe a little more. The beautiful thing about this, it splits into 3 parts. You can take it anywhere. It's great for if you're camping or going to a friend's house and you just want to smoke a couple smaller things. Lid comes off here. It's got 2 racks. It's got a water pan, peels off here. This is where you are then using your charcoal and wood chunks. So with the vertical there, you had to use chips because it was such a small area. This is great for charcoal and then actual larger chunks for smoking. So flavor-wise, I like this flavor better than a pellet smoker. This really is a great blend, in my opinion, of set it and forget it and tend to it. You can't just get this thing going up to temp and leave like you can a pellet smoker, but it will maintain temps and ride for a long time, a lot longer than any offset that I have smoked on. But if you are doing a pork butt or beef ribs or a brisket on this, you are gonna have to add your fuel, your charcoal, your wood chunks throughout the cook. So again, you're getting a little more of that smoker feel and that smoker experience, but without all the babysitting. But like I said, the product that comes off of this is phenomenal. So I've talked about so many of the pros for the smoker. I would say the main con for me in my experience with it would be that because you're getting that direct smoke from underneath, you can tend to over smoke, and it's a different smoke. With offsets, usually it's a nice kind of subtle smoke. Pellet smokers, same thing, it's a little more subtle. This is easy to overdo it, especially if it's burgers or meatballs or ground beef where it's more porous. Very, very easy to over smoke. Other cuts, not so much. It's been great. So before I put this away, I did want to say that this gets up to temp very fast. So this is great for weeknight cooks. Obviously, you're not going to fire up an offset on a Tuesday night when you have 30 minutes, although we would. We have, and we always do. But this is great for that. We have an episode on a weeknight tenderloin that we'll put right over here somewhere that you can click on. And if you have a little bit of time on a weeknight, this is phenomenal. All right, next we're looking at a pellet smoker, the old set it and forget it. These are great for people that don't have a lot of free time, don't want to dedicate their time to tending to a fire, but still want good smoked product. So you can load up the hopper with whatever pellets you want to load it up with. Then you have your temperature control. You can quite literally set it to any temperature you want and you can walk away. As long as this is filled up, this can go for hours and hours on end. So for someone trying a brisket for the first time, pellet smokers are great because you can focus on trimming your brisket, seasoning, and doing different things like that versus having to worry about tending to a fire while that brisket is cooking for 15, 16 hours. Personally, after smoking a ton of different things on pellet smokers and verticals and offsets, these tend to be the best, I think, for moisture retention. So they do a great job with poultry and fish and leaner meats. I've never had to use a water pan in this Traeger, ever. So I would say, again, a lot of pros on pellet smokers. They've come a long way. You get a lot of great flavor. The negatives are that you're not going to get a bark that you desire on your briskets, on your beef proteins, pork. You're not gonna get as good of color as you would on an offset, and you don't quite get the flavor that you would get on an offset, in my opinion. So on to your backyard offset smoker. I may have mentioned it before. I think on the offset, you're gonna get the greatest flavor. You're gonna get your best bark formation. Overall, you're just gonna get the best product. So with that comes a lot of the hardship of offset smoking though. Your fire management, you are basically building a fire and you're maintaining a live fire for the duration of the cook. A smaller offset like this, the problem you're gonna run into is you are using very small splits like this. Just wanted to show you as comparison. This is used on a larger offset. This is what I would typically use on a smaller offset because you don't want your temperatures to spike too much. So you don't want to put on a large split where it takes a while to ignite. And then when it does, your temps shoot up. But the problem with that is then they don't last very long. So you are basically what I call babysitting a small fire throughout the duration of your cook. This is a Old Country Brazos. You've probably seen, oh!
Before we continue with the smoker tour, if you are new to the channel and want to see more barbecue, cooking, and smoking content like this video, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with a friend, and leave us a comment. All right, let's get back to it.
What is this? The barbecue fairy put this in there. No treat this time, unfortunately. So you'll see you have a good amount of cooking space here. The grates are fairly large. Again, you can fit a couple briskets, multiple racks of ribs. As I mentioned, this is the Old Country Brazos here. You've probably seen that on Mad Scientist channel. He loves it. Franklin talks about the Old Country. I got this because of the heat retention, because it's about 1/4 inch steel. So again, the retention is great in this. However, my biggest gripe with this smoker in particular, you can see how short the stack is here. I don't get really good draw through the chamber. So I have spent many, many nights testing out with probes every single area, every single square inch of this smoker. I will have drastic temperature swings or temperature differences from this corner to back here, to up top, to over here, wherever it is. That is one thing that, again, I don't like with this stack. I think and you can mod this out. You can actually, put some piping on this to bring it up and get better draw. That's what I would recommend on this. This is a challenging smoker to operate. It's a ton of fun. If you love the art of smoking, if you want to maintain a fire, if you do want the best product, I usually, with this and even the larger offset, I will use water pans because the moisture retention isn't quite as good as it's going to be on a pellet smoker. But again, bark formation, if you're looking for a deep, beautiful mahogany color on your ribs, you're going to get that on this. Another pro on this smoker is gonna be the fact that you can do some direct live fire cooking in the box. So if you're looking to sear off steaks, sear off burgers, whatever it is, vegetables, get a nice char, you can do that directly on the firebox on this grate right here, which you can remove. So I would recommend this smoker for anyone who wants to really dive into Texas or Southern style smoking methods and flavors, a different depth of flavor than other smokers that we showed you earlier. Again, you have to have the time to dedicate to it, but I would say it's 100% worth it if you're really striving for that kind of barbecue that's gonna bring you to the next level. Last but not least, our 250-gallon offset smoker. On a custom trailer, we can bring this anywhere we want. This is by far my favorite cooker to smoke on. I enjoy tending to a fire, that's just me, so I like that. And again, I think I get the best quality product and flavor on this. The benefit on a larger offset, anyone who's cooked on 250s, 500s, 1,000 gallons, you know fire management becomes a lot easier than it is on a small offset. You're using larger splits like we showed earlier. You're building a larger fire. Your fire is lasting longer and you're getting a lot more longevity with your temps, your internal temps. There's also nothing like the smell of cooking on an offset. I guarantee you fire one of these up, your neighbors will be coming from all over to see what you're doing in the backyard. Question we get a lot pertaining to this 250 gallon is it too big for the backyard? So even if this wasn't on a trailer and you weren't gonna transport it and use it for catering or parties or whatever, I would say it's not too big. It is gonna be too big if you have a small family, if you don't do a lot of smoking, if you're only smoking, one rack of ribs, a couple chicken wings at once, then yeah, it's gonna be overkill. If you're doing that, I would probably recommend the Weber Smoky Mountain. For anyone who's doing multiple racks of ribs, a couple briskets, a couple pork butts, I would say this is a really good size. One of the biggest pros to this, I would say, is again, you're getting that authentic Southern style barbecue flavor with the live fire cooking, but you're not babysitting as much as you are a smaller offset smoker for the backyard. Ton of pros to this. Again, the only con would be it's pretty large if you're doing just single items at one time, but you cannot go wrong with a smoker like this in the backyard, or if you're taking it to do smaller catering gigs or competitions, I'd say this is absolutely perfect.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more content just like this.